Hi everyone, it's Lisa and welcome to Make It Monday. Today is week 11 in my series on dynamic duos, where I'm teaching you two different projects using the same products. Today's card is a little bit of a different fold, so I wanted to show you how I created this. And you can see it has a small gate fold to the right. Let me give you the dimensions and show you how to create this one. Using the Stampin' Up! Paper trimmer, and this is a half a sheet of Island Indigo cardstock measuring 8.5 by 5.5. We're going to use the scoring tool and we're going to make the first score at 2 3/4 inches. Then we're going to slide over, open up the extended arm here, to 7 inches. If you happen to have cut your cardstock uneven, you may have a small gap when you go to fold this. I'm going to use my bone folder. This is the 2 3/4 inch side, and this is the 7-inch side. Now you can see mine just happened to work out perfectly. However, if you've cut it just a hair too short, what you might want to do is just fold this piece by hand so that they meet in the center. The next thing I did here was I cut a piece of designer series paper, and this comes from the Venetian Romance, and this is cut 2 3/4 by 5 1/4 that fits on this panel here. Then I've used the Tasteful Trim die to create this edge, and let me show you how I did that. This is the Tasteful Trim die. Whether you're a card maker or a scrapbooker, I think this die is worth its weight in gold and every dime that you'll pay for it. It provides you with 4 different types of borders for your cards and scrapbook pages, and it will cut up to 12 inches long. For this card, I went ahead and I used the scallop, and I've pre-cut it ahead of time, and this is in the pistachio pudding. I'm going to put the border here on the inside of the front flap. This is where I love my silicone mat. Because I have to provide a small strip of adhesive here, I use my mat underneath my cardstock because the adhesive will not stick to it. So I can get a sufficient amount of adhesive on the cardstock while keeping the rest in an area that won't stick. Isn't that awesome? Then I went ahead and turned this over, and I just eyed where I wanted this. Now I cut this piece a little bit longer, and this is another tip I'd like to share with you. The reason is, again, if you don't cut your paper exactly right, it could be just a hair short. So this is where I use my paper snips, and I just give it a little haircut on the ends. And if you happen to have any leftover adhesive, use your adhesive pickup and rub in one direction. It'll take the adhesive right off. This is another great buy and something I can't live without in my craft room. And then you'll notice here that I've stamped a little bit of a background. I used the Creative Elements stamp set and this border stamp right here, which is beautiful. Now I'm going to give you another tip. It's a larger stamp, so when you go to ink it up, I don't recommend inking it this way. I prefer to ink it this way, and the reason is, especially with these firm foam pads, it's very easy to over ink it. Now when you go ahead to stamp this so that you don't get an image on the back, I'm going to recommend that you use a piece of scratch paper, the grid sheets. Now I'm going to keep it folded, and I'm just going to press. And for the words, I used the stamp set, Feels Good. I used my Island Indigo ink again, and this time I've cut out a circle from the 3-inch circles die with my Big Shot, and I've stamped my image inside. And to get some distressed look around the edges, I use my crumb cake ink pad and a wedge of sponge, and I've sponged those edges. The designer series paper that's around the words here is also from the same designer series paper stack, Venetian Romance. And all I did was use the 3.5-inch circle die to border this. Small piece of ribbon that I tied with some linen thread. You can see that I also did the inside, brought in a little bit of designer series paper. So the card itself is very simple, but let me show you the dynamic duo. My dynamic duo is a double page spread, same paper, same greeting, same scallop edge that I used from the Tasteful Trim die, same background. This is the second layout. Now, if you're not getting a good enough view, don't worry. These are all going to be on my blog, so head over there and take a look at them. I'll have all the photographs up there for you. This is this week's dynamic duo, and I hope to see you next week for Make It Monday.